think about the story of Christmas, and you look at the cultural story of Christmas, and there's really this huge kind of discrepancy between the two. On the one hand, you have God becoming flesh, moving into our neighborhood, showing up in a manger, which is literally a feed trough, and showing up in weakness in the womb of a unwed teenage mother. And on the other hand, you have people trampling over each other to get Xboxes, and people going into gross amounts of debt, and people stressed out and depressed and freaking out about how much money they're going to buy or what they didn't get. Or you sit there and you kind of go, those two stories are the same story. The first thing we see is that Jesus is worshipped. I mean, that is the story, that God is with us, and the angels and the shepherds and the wise men, and everybody worships the baby. You see that when Jesus showed up as king, he showed up really very resistant to the empires of the day. He didn't show up in a cloud of power and wealth. He didn't ride in with this large procession of horses and military might. He showed up as a baby. We also see when Jesus came that he redistributed his wealth, that the glory of heaven, all you can imagine what the wealth of God is like. And then he gave himself away relationally. That when God showed up, he didn't show up with Xboxes and iPods, or he showed up with a son. He gave a son. So we started looking at this story and we asked the question, what if we entered this story? What if as brothers and sisters in Christ, what if we tried to worship God in the way the angels and the shepherds and the wise men did? And we did it because we entered that story. What if we resisted our empire of consumerism? What if we resisted going into debt and spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on stuff that we won't even remember we bought in 6 months? And what if we spent less because we gave more? We gave relational gifts, gifts of meaning, gifts that connected our hearts together in the same way that God gave a relational gift when he gave us his son. And then what if we took whatever money we didn't spend, and the average American spends like $800 to $1,000 a year on Christmas. And what if by spending so much less, we took all that extra money and we redistributed it? We gave it to the least of these. When Jesus came, the Apostle Paul says it this way, that he who is rich became poor, that through his poverty he might make many rich. That he might make us rich. Nothing tells the story of Christ better than when the church lives like Jesus. What if people entered the story this way? What if we took back the story? I mean, Christmas is the story of Christ's birth. What if everybody celebrated Christ's birth this way? What if we led the way in solving the water crisis in the world just because we spent less, and gave more, and loved all? What would that look like? What would that tell the world about Christmas? That God gave a son, and ever since then, nothing has ever been the same.